Wow. I mean, wow. Wow, wow, wee, wow. Hi, hello, good morning, welcome. Hi, hello, good morning. Hi, hi, hello. Wow, wow, wee, wow. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well today. It's time for stream. Yippee. With a nice cup of coffee. Hello, hello. Oh, you know what this song is reminding me of? It's reminding me of the Sonic movie. Stretch. But hi, welcome. Hi, Maury, welcome. Congrats on first. And hi, Val, welcome. Congrats on second. Hope you're both doing well. Hello. But you know what I'm more excited about right now? I'm honestly more excited about what Marvel is doing currently. Daredevil Born Again season 2, Spider-Man Brand New Day, and now a fucking special with the Punisher, a Punisher special. That's awesome. Wonder Man season 2 as well. Did I mention that? Wonder Man season 2? That's insane. I love Wonder Man. I was so hoping they would get a season 2, but it felt so unlikely since they had been sitting on that show for like 2 years because they didn't think it would do well, and then it did super well, and now they're immediately greenlighting a season 2. But I'm not just excited to watch these shows. Like that's cool and all. But the thing I'm excited for is that each and every one of these is a chance to reintroduce Cloak and Dagger to the MCU, especially Wonder Man. Especially Wonder Man. So I'm excited about all these things because partly because I have my own agendas. But you know, we'll see. Disney also backed out of their AI deal. Let's go! Yippee! That's awesome. Sorry, I'm still testing some things out in the thing. I'm still testing some things out. Sorry, I started stream a little bit late today. It was not because I overslept or anything like usual. Well, you'll see in a minute why. You'll see in a minute why. I just want to sit here and yap a little bit before we actually get into the meat of the stream. But you'll see why I was a little late. But everything looks like it's gonna go pretty well. Hmm. Maybe not, actually. But yeah, I'm super excited for the future of the MCU right now. Also, Marvel Tokon looks really fun, even though it's probably gonna be really expensive. I probably won't be able to get it. Also, Sonic. I can't wait for the next movie. I wonder if Sonic has any games planned for this year or next year. I guess it would be. If they had something planned for this year, they would have announced it, right? We would have had some sort of announcement. They're probably saving it for next year. I mean, it's probably supposed to be an anniversary game, but you know, it's the thing with them working on it so much that they miss the deadline. It's better than rushing it out for Christmas like they did with '06 and Rise of Lyric. But I'm excited to see what the future holds for all my precious babies. My precious media entities. My media IPs. Yeah, my precious corporate media IPs. I can't wait to see what they have in store. Anyway, let me show you guys why I was a little bit why I was a little bit late. Why I was a little bit late. I made a new screen because I realized the gaming screen uh there's so much chat. Chat takes up a lot of room and I take up a lot of room. So I thought we need a bigger screen if we're gonna look closely at these characters. I need to change the I don't have a chat box here. The chat is just floating there. It's fine. You know what? The chat box can be behind me. Who cares? No, it can be up here so you don't see where it cuts off. But like, that's good. Yes, that's good. Look at that. Maybe I should. Maybe when I you know rebrand to the new aesthetic, maybe this will be how I do gaming streams because this looks a lot better. A lot more room for game. Can you hear the game? Wait. There's no audio for the game in here. How did I configure audio for the game? Wait a minute. How did I do that? Let me go to the gaming screen real quick. Oh, I need a separate thing. I need a separate thing for the game audio. I need a separate thing from the game audio. I forgot. I forgot. Audio capture. Game. There we go. There we go. Now you should hear the game. I mean, you won't be able to hear it over the Spotify. But like now you should be able to hear the game. Not that you'll have to for this stream. The focus isn't really gonna be on the game. I'm probably gonna just have music playing. Because what we're gonna do this stream is the same as we did with Rivals, where we looked at all the character designs. But because, you know, Deadlock doesn't have a menu where you can just look at the characters, well, we gotta have to do it this way. We have Abrams right here, and we're gonna look at him. I'm up to eat. Okay, Link. Hi, welcome. Have a good sleep. I did not mean to press that. What the hell? But yeah, we got him right here. We're gonna look at him. Whoa. 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 Yeah, I'll turn the music back on because it's gonna be a boring stream. I'm gonna turn the music down a little bit though. In my ears at least. I don't know if that changes anything from your end. It probably does, but it's not a perfect way to look at them, but it's what we got. Probably would have announced it by now, but they could also shadow drop something for all we know. That's true. Before we get into the character design, let's how about we look at Abrams' lore real quick? That'll help inform you know, what to take away from the character design, right? Hard-hitting, hard-headed, and hard-drinking, Detective Abrams has been a fixture of the New York investigation scene for years. From stolen art to missing persons to ritual murders, Abrams didn't just take any case that came across his desk. He solved them. But his days of following cheating spouses came to an end the day he opened his office door and found the tome, capitalized, sitting on his desk. No instruction was left for him, save for a brief note scrawled in onyx blood that read, "Don't let them have it." Abrams hasn't figured out where the thing came from, but seeing as his home has been broken into, his office tossed on 3 different occasions, and his car firebombed, he has a vested interest in figuring out what the hell is going on. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, he's a detective. He sure looks like one. With this big old trench coat and like shoulder belt thing. I don't know what they're called, but like you see them on a lot of like cop characters in media. Except he doesn't have a gun holster on it. He has the flask, which is cool. Has some little weird details on it. I don't know what that is. Are those just staples? I can't tell. You guys see that, right? On the pouch? Hmm. I like the detailing on his skin. You can see like in some areas they're purple. In the same way that on normal human skin there's like variation in like skin tone based on like or variation in color based on, you know, the blood flow, blood circulation. And so because he has blue skin, it's purple, which is really nice, really cool detail. It's a very serious look on his face. With the gambit eyes, the black eyes with the red irises. What is immediately striking to me is like how big he is, which makes sense because he's like a tanky character in the game. So it makes sense for him to be big, but like that's an interesting choice for like a detective like character. You think a detective, you think often more like the Sherlock Holmes type, the ones that rely more on their brains than their brawn. But they kind of subvert that a little bit by having a very like tanky detective guy. He's actually kind of giving more cop in some ways. Especially with the blue. And the handcuff. Where he's attached the book. The tome, capitalized. As it was called in the lore. Oh my god, the wrinkles on his shirt. It's so detailed. Do you see that? All the wrinkles, they're so detailed. That's the thing I wanna let me bring in a different guy real quick. As an example. What's a good example? I think you're a good example.
I don't appreciate the news labeling some of my services as rackets. Who wouldn't love being protected by me?
Look at Wraith over here. You see how plain everything is? You see how plain the shirt is and how plain the pants are and the shoes especially. There's no detail. Meanwhile on Abrams there's so much detail. That's a good indicator of which designs are more finished and which ones need working on. There are still a lot of designs in the game. This is important to mention as we go along, that some designs just are unfinished. They will get like visual touch-ups. They will make like their models more detailed, more finished as they develop the game more. But all this to say, a design like Abrams with all this detail on it is pretty much finished. So it's fair to you know, critique it in its current state. Meanwhile, once we get to like Wraith, like this design is subject to change a bit later on, and so gonna be a lot gonna need to come back to them at a later time, probably. But back to Abrams. The choice of all the blues and the purple is interesting. Oh my god, he really is wide. Or rather, the choice of blue and purple isn't notable. It's the fact that they're this bright. They're not that desaturated, because blues are often represented with like calmness, with like coolness, and all that, right? It's someone that's sort of like in control. And calm. Which, it doesn't seem... Abrams doesn't really give those vibes. Because his character seems to be this, like... old and disheveled, like, detective. And he is giving detective. He's not giving as much old or disheveled. He's very clean in a lot of ways. Like, they're obviously hinting to his alcoholism with the flask right there, but like throughout the rest of his design, like, doesn't really show that much. His pants are clean, his shoes are clean, his shirt is clean. His tie is hanging a little bit weirdly, but I wonder if that's just a me thing because I don't have the graphic settings all the way turned up. He has a big ass fucking gun. Does anyone in chat know what kind of gun this is? Is this like a specific type of gun that exists? A specific make, a specific build of gun? Like, he's got his cigarette in his mouth. His hair looks a little bit, like, rough. A little bit, like, tousled. But for the most part, it's clean. He's missing a horn. That's to show, like, he's done thing. He's a detective. He's been in this game for too long. But like, I guess he kind of has a 5 o'clock shadow, but it's not like, there could be more to it, right? It almost feels intentional. If there were more like stray hairs along his jawline, it would have looked more not well put together. My question is he still a detective, or the lore kind of confused me. Is he like retired, but now he's just focused? Is he like retired from being a proper detective because he's focused so much on this book, or is he still like on the force? Because I guess if he's still on the force, then he still has to like look as neat as possible. It's hard to say. I love the fold on the arm. That's really nice. Obviously, he's handcuffed himself to the book, probably to keep it safe, but also like as a symbolism of him being like trapped by the book, which is cool. I dig that it has both a practical purpose in the lore because, like, of course, as a detective, the thing he'd use to like keep it close to him at all times would be handcuffs because that's what he has access to. But it's also a sign, you know, handcuffs are also a sign of like being restrained, being trapped, and so it makes a lot of sense for as like symbolism, not just as like a practical thing. I love his suspenders. You can barely see them peeking out from his coat, but I love the suspenders. I love like the look of like a classic cop. I don't like cops in real life, but I do love the look of like a classic cop with a white shirt and the black pants and the suspenders and like the like belt harness thing. I love that look. It just looks cool, in my opinion. I love the shoes. The detail on the shoes. Those are some really nice shoes. But yeah, the blue coat definitely stands out a little too much, in my opinion. He's a very big guy. Very broad. I like that about him. I also like the shape of his face. Very, very chiseled. He looks like someone, but I can't put my finger on who. There's something about that, the facial hair especially, that reminds me of someone. Or rather, the entire mouth area. The mustache along with the, like, wrinkles around his mouth. And the way his chin is shaped. It reminds me of someone, but I can't put my finger on it. It's like, it's only that part that looks so strikingly familiar. Meanwhile, like, his eyes and his hair and the rest of him is like throwing that off. So I can't really tell who it reminds me of. I love the single swirl in his hair. It's kind of like Superman. Which makes sense, because like he's like the face of Deadlock. Of course he'd have like the... Knock off Joe Fix-It? You know what? You're kind of right. That's kind of the vibes. I wish I could see closer on the book. It has the skull like tentacle design, like it's Cthulhu, and then it has this intricate gold on it. I love the stitches, the visible stitches you can see here on it. That's real nice. You can see it all over. That's cool. I dig that. But like, his coat is super clean. It's not worn at all. Which again, if he still like is like a detective, like on the force type detective, not just doing his own private investigations, then it would make sense that he would be this clean. Because there's a code he has to follow. But it kind of, I feel like semantics like that should matter in character design because they're meant to portray the character. JoJo taught me that character design should be for the character and not for the lore. because from what I understood about the lore, even if he is still on the Force, he still went off the deep end into investigating this book. It should still, you should still like visualize in the design that the book has consumed him, that his work has consumed him, right? So he shouldn't look this clean, even if he still is like employed on a police force as an investigator. You should still like communicate through the design that it's eating him, like it's taking a toll on him, his spirit, right? And like having to follow a uniform, even if like that's what would happen in real life, even if, you know, no matter how far he's in the work, he still has to follow a dress code. Even if that's like, oh, it's realistic, it makes for uninteresting character design. So I feel like character designs should not necessarily follow real life rules like that, unless it actually like is in service of the character. Because I feel like in this case, it's not in service of the character to show that he's like still following, he's still keeping his uniform clean because he's a good detective. To me, he reads more as someone who's like gone far off the deep end and at this point would not care about the dress code regardless. Because he's just so consumed by investigating this book. Unless I've just read him wrong, of course. But yeah, I don't have too much to say about Abrams. He's a good design. I like him. You can tell he's a detective, you can tell there's something special about this book, and you can tell he's a tank because of how he's built and like his big fucking gun. Yeah, that's good character design. That's what good character design is about. Communicating the character instantly at a glance. And like with Abrams, that is very clear. How do I clear the bots? Can only remove all bots. I can't remove only one bot. So anyway, who's next? Apollo's
I'm ready
next.
to test myself.
Apollo. I am taller than him, so he's gonna be a little bit harder to look at. Unless I
It is an honor to lead us to victory.
become Apollo myself, so I'm at eye level. Wow, he really is way shorter than I thought he was initially. He's a tiny ass guy. Wait. How old is he? Hold on, let's read his lore. Let's read his lore first. A land of beauty, tradition, and conflict, North Ixia is no stranger to brutal political violence. So when Apollo was told that it was for his own safety he was being sent to New York for school, he knew the situation was serious. Adjusting to life at Blackmore Academy didn't come easy to Apollo. His school was supposed to be filled with the cursed apple's best and brightest, but all he saw, with few exceptions, was a sea of aggressive mediocrity. Electing not to waste his time with frivolous things like parties and dances, he instead puts his energy into the heist, where the rigorous trains where he rigorously trains as captain of the Blackmore fencing team. However, at the end of the day, Apollo does not fret too much on the tedium of life in New York. He knows that eventually the time will come when his father will call on him to come home and he will get to show that he is worthy of wielding his family's ancestral blade. I see, so he's kind of like the prince, the young prince archetype. He's young, he's arrogant, he's too hung up on his own title to truly like sorry, I've never played Apollo before. This is interesting.
Try to keep up. Shall we dance?
Anyway. Let's look at this design. It is definitely giving student. It's definitely giving prep school with this nice blazer on. With, I assume, the I need a shorter character.
Like to go home.
This is better. Look at his like torso area. This is better. Although Rem does take up a little bit of. He doesn't zoom as far. It doesn't seem. That seems to be the school insignia on his. See, in this case, it does make sense for a character to like look like they're following the rules, because like his whole shtick is that he wants to be the top of the class. So he'd follow the dress code, and he does. He wears his nice blazer. But underneath, he's got the fencing uniform, which is nice. Could have easily just put him in the like a fencing uniform, just all over. But then they put the blazer on to show that he is like a student, right? You know, High School Musical? That's what it's giving. It's kind of giving High School Musical. It's probably the colors, the white and red. That's an interesting blade, though. That's a very intricate blade. It did say something in his lore about him wielding his, like, family's ancestral blade, whatever that is. Is that what this blade is? Because this does not look like a fencing sword that, you know, the school fencing club would just provide you for joining. This looks very intricate. He also has a tail, but oh, his tail is sticking out in a point. Abrams was hanging low. That's another point for Abrams for showing how Abrams is a little down in the dumps. But no. Apollo's tail is sticking out. It's erect. It's even jeweled. He's got gold jewels on it. Which makes, you know, if demons were real, they would do something like that, wouldn't they? Surprised he doesn't have anything on his horn. Stretch. And pet the rock. And water. But yeah, again, with the colors, like the red represents, you know, it represents fire, it represents passion, it represents, there's another word I'm looking for, but I'm blanking on it. But it fits Apollo's character very, very well as this arrogant, princey type to be associated with red for his passion and his vigor. As well as the white that it represents purity, also often associated with royalty. There's a reason why a lot of like regal character designs in different games often use red and gold is because it gives if it's historically associated with royalty and like as like a form of purity, you know. Because gold often represents purity, but in this case it's just white, which gives it a much more grounded look. Right? It has a little bit of like gold / like copper accents with like his buttons and his like pin here, but like it makes much more sense in a school setting for it to be like white and red. Plus, again, it reminds me of High School Musical. But it does have a lot of hint of gold on him to show his decadent lifestyle as like a prince, you know. Not to mention that red also as a color is just associated with evil and demons, which, you know, he is one. I love the this is another model you can tell is more finished, which makes sense. He's one of the more recent ones. They probably had him finish out the gate. I love all the texturing on his fencing uniform, because like here he has shoes and then he has like these striped socks, and then he has these kind of thick like knee pads, and then his pants have this like crisscross pattern, this stitched crisscross pattern, which I really like. That's a pattern that I've always liked, even in real life. His posture feels a little awkward in his regular standing pose. Like when I teleported like him in, he was in like his action pose where he was like doing an actual fencing pose. But here, he feels a little awkward. Like it feels like he's trying to do like a back straight, one leg forward, like ready to like get into fencing pose at any moment. But it makes him look a little bit awkward in his stance, in his posture. And I can't tell if that's like on purpose, if this is how like if this is an actual like stance in fencing, or if it's like to show that he's still young and inexperienced, still doesn't quite know how to handle himself. Or if it's just, you know, you're not supposed to look at this pose for too long, and when you do, it's from this perspective. So like it doesn't really matter. It's hard to tell. I also did notice that he has the number 1 on his pants. it's a cool detail because he does consider himself to be at the top, so he would have number 1. Even though I'm pretty sure in like what is the academy? Is it like a college level or is it like high school? I can't tell. He looks pretty young, but like it could be either. Regardless, I don't think numbers like that matter too much in sports teams. They're just sort of numbers. They determine like your position on the field. Not that fencing actually has a field or anything. I don't think there are. Do fencing people have numbers? I don't even know. I like how his shirt is kind of like diagonal here. And it's open to show a little bit of like flair, like flamboyant flair. I like that. I'm gonna go back to like a higher perspective
New York is a
so I can
fascinating
take a better
place.
look at his hair
You never know
now.
who you're going to meet.
Because I like his hair. It's very flowy, very flamboyant, very light on the top, you know, very like princey, like blonde. And then at the bottom it's like black. Really nice contrast there. I don't know what I'm supposed to take from that, you know? If that's just a demon thing, because he does have a lot of black accents all across his design. Is it just to show that he's a demon? Or is this his natural hair color, or did he like dye it blonde initially because, you know, he's the prince type, he's the young prince type character, and so he's a little bit vain. He needs to have the blonde hair so he looks cool or whatever. I don't know. I don't really know what to take away from that. His face too looks very young. Like compared to like Abram's face shape, this is very young. I really like that. Just to show he a blonde? Yeah, exactly. He wants people to think he's blonde even though he isn't really. Then again, his lore said that his lore implied that he doesn't really care about his like status among his peers. He really just cares about his status as a prince, as an actual prince, and he doesn't really care what how other people view him. He just wants to be like the best. Not socially, just academically. So it's so the blonde is good for like as like part of the archetype, the prince, the arrogant prince archetype, but like I don't think it's meant to. I think that's all it is. I don't think it's supposed to be like, oh, he dyed it blonde for status. I think it's just they wanted to give him half blonde, half black because he's a demon, but he's also a prince. It's a nice, cool, another like contrast thing, right? Just with Abrams being the detective, but like he's a big, like a bulky detective. Here's a prince archetype, but like he's a demon. Man, the surprised he isn't the Tumblr sexy man. Then again, Tumblr sexy men are kind of out there, so that I guess that makes sense. There's a little bit of gradient in his design here. Like the red is a little bit desaturated here, and is a little bit more bright here. I did not notice that with Abrams' design, even though with Abrams that would have made a lot more sense. But yeah, I've said my piece. I like Apollo. I don't like playing against him. He's very annoying sometimes, but hey, he's cool. Oh, he has a ring. That's interesting. Just another piece of jewelry to show how decadent he is. I'm surprised he doesn't have anything on his horns. Like a ring around his horn. That will make for a cool little detail. Anyway, I think I've said my piece on Apollo. Who's next? Bebop.
Trouble never hurt anyone.
Bebop. I'm trying to look for his for any tells of if he's like a more finished design or not. He definitely looks like he's more finished. Also, I know he did have an earlier design at some point. I don't know, some details look very finished, while some look a little bit more rough around the edges. Oh, that's something I never know. I've always seen his, like, face from the front. So I always assumed that he just had a, like, weird little block for a mouth, but no. Oh my god, he has a fucking crocodile mouth. I never noticed that. I mean, that makes sense. He is, like, very Australian. Bebop is such a cool design, I'm not gonna lie. With how, you know, asymmetric he is. He's really cool. A failed Eggman droid. A little bit. Let's read his lore. Bebop. What is your lore, sir? What's the name of his gun? Humble Pie. Okay. I forgot to read what Apollo's blade is called. Pride of Ixia. So this is like his family sword that he mentioned in the lore. Right? $809 max health. 890 max health. It says max health, but that's probably probably means base health. How much does Abrams have? 810. And Apollo 780. And someone like Rem? Only 690. So Bebop, as you could probably tell from him being such a big guy, also a bit on the tanky side. Backstory. Forged by the hands of a widowed junkyard attendant, Bebop was more than just some scrap golem laborer. He was a son she couldn't have. Together they would work in the iron yard during the day and listen to jazz at night. It was a predictable, if not comforting, routine. But now, Bebop's creator has fallen ill, and while Miss Shelley wouldn't approve of the activities that Bebop does at night to pay for her medicine, what she doesn't know can't hurt her. Oh. Kinda sad. It does not inform his character design too much, though. Other than knowing that he's made from scrap metal, which, like, duh! That's kind of obvious. He's very much like a scrap metal junkyard type design. There's a bunch of random things just stuck together. Even the piece for, like, his chest is, like, so asymmetrical. I like that. That's a really nice detail. Whose background is Battle Angel Alita. I have heard that name before, but I don't know what it is. So I'll take your word for it. That's interesting. He's got like those like old Japanese like sandal, as well as like Buddhist prayer beads. And I've always noticed that he has like this weird like thing on his side that looks like samurai armor. Wait a minute. And this wire on his like head that goes back, it kind of looks like those I forget what they're called, but like it's a hairstyle that samurais used to have back in the day, where they would like put their hair into this like ponytail. Is he meant to be like a samurai type character? I guess that makes sense, because a samurai was like what's the word? What's the term? Indentured servant? Something like that. So it makes sense that if his purpose in life is to protect one person. That is very much a samurai thing. But it feels so underutilized. Like, you'd expect if he's meant to be very much a samurai type guy that it would come up a little bit more than just on his legs, essentially. And on his, I mean, that's very vague, but like, that's what it's giving. With that quote-unquote hair. I still can't get over the fact that he has a crocodile mouth. I never noticed. I've always just seen his face from the front, and I just assumed, oh, he just has no mouth. That circle right there is kind of giving... Oh, I have to look at... I have to find images of this. It reminds me of the Dogu statue. The Dogu statues from Japan. Right? Oops. I get pretty much aligned with, these guys! These ancient Japanese statues, you see with like this eye here? How they have like these eyes that are closed like that? That's kind of what this is giving. It might just be a coincidence. But considering the other like Japanese inspirations, I don't think I'm too far off, you know? Too. Definitely interesting. Hold on. If I... Can I... Well, can I first of all... do that. Bebop. Deadlock. Did he have a earlier design? He did have an earlier design. How about we take a look at that just to see how it's evolved? That's something I'm a little bit interested in seeing how the characters evolved over time. I can't find a good image of it though. I can only find like this. This is all I can find. It was a winter skin? A model sheet of him. Kinda cool. But yeah, I don't really know what to take away from his character, you know? He just kind of seems like a servant and a protector. His stance is pretty cool. His posture. All the technical details, though, are really nice. I really love, like, this, like, mechanical, like, spine type thing. You already know how much I love those. Can't tell if this is, like, his finished design or not, though. It looks very detailed. Like, there's a lot of, like, rust and fading all over, so I assume it is finished. But it definitely is giving samurai, you know, with the sandals and then like the legs being pretty much very like thin and then like big baggy pants. I feel like that's more like a stereotypical like ninja thing rather than a samurai. Like they have their like legs wrapped up to the knee and then they have the baggy pants. But these baggy pants just seem to be like a potato sack. And then it's tied with a rope. And then he has these, what look to just be towels, honestly, that are meant to look like samurai armor. And like some sort of water tank and like food tank, like military grade food containers. Honestly, it's almost giving that he's like LARPing as a samurai. Which makes the like literal sandals, the literal like Japanese sandals stand out a little bit. Like if it had been a little bit more like abstract, like his feet were just kind of had that shape, right? But no, he's just wearing sandals. But with everything else that is like very like samurai-esque about him, it's very much like an abstract thing. But with that, it's like so like obvious. It's interesting. All his joints, all his wires going everywhere. I love robot designs. They're so fun. There's so much you can do with it. Bebop is a great example of what you can do with a robot design because it's just so asymmetrical here. With the one big arm. And his face, like one eye and then this weird two-eye thing going on. It's really cool. Quagmire. Yeah, it's that one scene of Quagmire where he's been inside all day doing who knows what. I like this piece a lot because it's kind of giving like shoulder blade shape. This too, but like this one is smaller obviously because the arm is smaller. It's kind of giving like the illusion of like actual human anatomy, but like obviously just using scrap metal. And I think that's cool. I also love this okay, not random tube, but this tube that just looks incongruent with the rest of the design, but it just has to be there to support the big arm. And a tiny tube that was like kind of cut off. It's very cool. It's a very scrap metal type design, especially on the big arm, where like it looks so unfinished. It doesn't even look like an arm. It looks like some weird like robotic thing. Like you got the big shoulder pad, which had these like nubs all over it, which almost looks like a face now that I look at it, but that's probably a coincidence. And then this like ball joint here, which kind of is like a bicep. But then from under there, like it's all just hydraulics and pistons and this little thing to cover it. But then on the other arm, like that's an arm. That's an arm. That's a robot arm. I feel like if that had a little bit more like exposed hydraulics, looked a little bit more like scrappy, that would have been a little bit cooler, because otherwise the like design is so, it's so good at like giving that scrap metal vibe. Even the legs are slightly different. This one looks perfectly plated, meanwhile that one is a little bit, the other leg has like some exposed like thing. But yeah, I like Bebop. I want to read more into Bebop because from what I've heard from like at least his interactions with Lash, or the relationship that he has with Lash, Bebop is a very like dangerous guy and a fighter, but his lore didn't really go into any of that. It just said that like, oh, he was created by this one person who he then decided to protect, almost like a traditional golem, a protector of the people. And while this does give a little bit of samurai, which does thematically work with the ideas of a golem, of it being this this noble warrior. Doesn't really fit the description of a traditional golem, but like this noble servant meant to protect its master, right? But then also he's supposed to be some sort of fighter, but they didn't really go much into that into the lore, other than him being dangerous, and you know his creator would not approve of what he's doing, but he has to do it, you know, kind of thing. His colors too are a little bit, you know, generic. Like every time you see like a junkyard type design, they always go with the yellow, the faded yellow and the rusted orange and like the beige and the grays. Like, yeah, that's fair, because it's like it's reminiscent of like rust, even if he isn't meant to be rusty all over. That's what it's like represents. It's like that rust. But I love the little additions of green that make it that just pop from his design, especially in his eyes. And that canister there. Just give a little bit of visual intrigue when you're looking at him from the back, when you're actually playing. I haven't talked about that, but that's because Apollo and fucking what's his name, Abrams, didn't really have anything like that to like look at visually when you're playing. There's also this faded like egg white, this off-white egg color, which I really like. It kind of is reminiscent of bone. Now that I think about it. But yeah, I love that pop of green, this like turquoise green. I wish there was a little bit more of it. Like maybe if these beads were that color, that would look really cool. Then it would be a little bit more of it. But yeah, Bebop is a pretty cool design. I don't know what to take away from him. I want to learn more about him so I can be more informed about what the design is trying to tell me. But from the little lore I get, I really can't tell what I'm supposed to take away. But he is a very cool, like, robot design. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Which is Billy. Oh my god, I'm actually kind of excited about Billy. I like Billy. I like Billy. Billy's a really fun design. Visually. Hey, Billy. I have a lot to say about Billy. I felt like I didn't have too much to say about Apollo and Bebop. I just kind of rambled for a while because I didn't have much to say. But Billy, I have a lot to say. So I'll get straight to the point. He's a very punk inspired design. Wait, let me take a look at your shoes. You do look very finished with your detail. Shoelaces, ripped pants, like this looks very detailed. It looks like he's a finished design. Cool. But you know, he's a very punk inspired design. He's got the leather jacket with the metal like details scattered all over, spikes on the shoulders, fucking ripped sleeves, but also he just has sleeves. That's not part of an undershirt. No, it's not. He just has fake ripped leather on top of the leather. Bright yellow shirt underneath. And then some stupid ass striped pants with like suspenders. Buttons all over, which means nothing. Eat, bleat. Just an A symbol, a goat, a skull, Omega Men. Filth, another goat, and this weird knockoff like occult anarchist symbol. A target, you know, he's just got the punk aesthetics, right? Which one thing to note is that about like punk designs in video games is that video games are a corporate product, right? Which is inherently like the opposite of what punk is. You can't make something authentically punk if it's a corporate product. So you can use all these punk aesthetics in like a character in a video game. You can have them be very much like this, trying to be this punk character, but like it's not authentic punk. It's just doing the punk aesthetic, which is fine and all, obviously, but like it kind of goes completely against the face of punk. But that's what I like about Deadlock, though, and what they did with Billy, is that his lore kind of plays into that. Because if you read his lore, let me do that. Billy is a white-hot ball of rage, furious at the very notion of something. Maybe it's the cops, maybe it's magic regulations, maybe it's the service at the gyro place downtown. Not the good one, the other one. Don't ask him how he got the goat head. Like, you read that and you listen to some of his voice interactions in-game, and it's very clear that he himself, the character, is a fake punk, which is in a meta sense so clever. Because a character created for a video game, a corporate video game by like a bunch of like character designers trying to replicate the idea of punk, it's not gonna be authentically punk, but the designers had that in mind when creating the character, because they created a character who himself just uses the aesthetics of punk while not actually having anything to say. And that is so clever to me. I love. This is why Billy is one of my favorite characters in this game, even though I don't play him. Cause he's just so clever on so many ways. He's got an anarchy symbol on his bat. I think that's so fun. I think it's so fun to like subvert it like that. Anyway, let's talk more about the design itself, though, as just not as a replication of like punk, but like just as a design. I'm trying to get a good look at his silhouette, right? Which I didn't really do for Bebop. Well, I noted on the asymmetry of it, and like from his waist down, he does have that samurai silhouette. But Billy very much is like a top-heavy design. Like, you can kind of see how like from his waist down, he's like very like thin, but like with the wideness of his jacket and like how puffy his sleeves are, and just the sheer presence of his horn, he's very like top-heavy. He's very top-heavy as a design. And I like that, because it kind of shows that, if I'm not mistaken...
Viper thinks she's hard because she did time. Lady can't go 3 blocks.
Yeah, he's a very much, like, fast kind of character. Or not. He doesn't have that much movement.
Chained him.
He only has one movement ability, and it's his fucking ram. Anyway, yeah, he has thin legs to show, like, because goats kind of have that. The goats are kind of shaped like that, with like thin legs and in the back, and then, you know, they're a lot strong in the front, or in this case, it would be the top where the head is. So he has these broad shoulders, which are just accentuated with the like puffiness of the sleeve, which leather jackets don't typically do that. So I don't know why that is happening. Maybe he just has really big sleeves. I mean, leather jackets don't typically do that, but I guess technically you could make them do that if you wanted. But other than that, you know, as I said, the ripped leather at his, like, his sleeves. Along with, you know, like the spikiness of the collar, the spikes on his shoulders, the spikiness of his like hair and fur, and of course the horns with nails sticking through them. It gives him a very, like, spiky design. He's very sharp. He's a very sharp design. Even in the way his legs are, like, bent, like, they kind of do, like, accentuate the, like, bend of the knee, making that kind of sharp. That's a little bit of a stretch. His shoelaces are different colors. Oh, he's trying so hard. He's trying so hard. His ears too, sticking straight up, looking very sharp. It's interesting that they're sticking upwards. Like, usually, like, you know, people say that goats' heads, you know, represents a pentagram, but usually to represent that, they have the ears point, like, slightly downwards, so they make a perfect pentagram. But here they're pointing upwards, which is an interesting choice. I guess it's to show that he's angry. He's angry. He's alert. Also, he has the bat with all the spikes on it. Very spiky design. Very like, oh, I'm dangerous. With like the bright yellow kind of, you know. You look at him from afar and you think, oh, he's dressed in all black with some bright yellow on him. All the bright reddish orange on his gun. Oh, that's something you shouldn't approach. So spiky, so dangerous. And with the goat head making him look so like uncanny with like bright yellow eyes. But then you look at his side and he has like, oh, he's got a little ghost plushie, which shows that he does have some sort of soft side. I guess I don't really know what to take away from that. Billy, you're not a very deep character, so you're not giving me very much to work with. I want to say that the plushie represents something deeper about you as a person, but you're not giving me any reason to believe that, so I'm sorry, Billy. I really don't know what to take away from your from you as a person. But your design, though, your design is clever as fuck, and I love it. Even just the making the punk guy a goat makes a lot of sense. Not only because of the spikiness, you know, you look at him and you think, oh, that's a dangerous spiky man, but also just it's kind of the mixing of like punk and like the occult both are like ideas that have been like very much shunned by society, where like the people in power are like, these are bad people that you should not trust. The punks over there, they just want to cause a ruckus. They wanna tear down our society. They wanna make everything bad. And the occultists over there, they wanna indoctrinate your children. They wanna teach them bad ideas. They wanna turn them to Satan. So like taking those two very like shunned ideas that like at their core aren't like these like bad evil ideas. Like, occultism is just spiritual belief, and you should have freedom of religion. And punk is just, you know, punk and, like, anarchism, like, it's just a political ideology. And it's not about just tearing down society. That's a very common misconception by, you know, people who like how the system is currently, and they don't want to see it change, and so they don't want to listen to anything else. But yeah, they're both seen as very like dangerous ideologies. So like mixing the two is really clever, especially with like how on the back he has this symbol that is like the mix of an anarchy symbol as well as like an occult spiritual symbol. Not quite a pentagram, I wouldn't say. More like some weird summoning circle, but it's still really cool. It's a very clever mix of the two. I don't know exactly what kind of gun he has, but like I like how he's like customized it with the spikes, and like the barrel is like completely busted and again spiky. Also, I love that he has cretin written on it, and then on the T it flows down the magazine. He has something else written on the other side, but I can't quite see it from here. But it's the same thing, where like one of the letters droops down. He's a very cool design. I like him so much. He's so clever. I guess I didn't take as much time to talk about him as I did with the others. Probably because I knew what I had to say about him, and so I was a lot more concise instead of just going, oh, I don't know, this thing and, you know, this thing and, you know, this thing. Here I just knew, bam, 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 all these things. But yeah, let's move on to the next character, because I have said my piece on Billy. I think he's a really great design. I think he's a really great and clever design. Also, hi Arson, welcome, congrats on third. Sorry, I was so busy yapping that I forgot to say hi when you joined in. Who's next? Calico. Add friendly.
I am at your service.
Let the ley lines course through you.
Calico is definitely a little plain. I feel like she is definitely due for some sort of visual upgrade. It's not as plain as like Wraith was. There's some like wrinkle details on her pants here. But like I feel like they're definitely going to do more with her in the future. So I probably won't have too much to say about her design. Oh, especially the texture on her. I don't know if that's just like me having, you know, the graphic settings too much down, but like, oh my god, her hair looks awful here. What the hell? Compared to Apollo, compared to Billy, this is awful. This is awful for her. There's no way. Is that just? No, it's here too. Oh. I think it's not just my visual, my graphics. I think she's actually just like that. How many characters are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4. That's... I'm not good at math. 8, 16, 24, 32, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 38. There are 38 characters. I wonder how far we'll get in this stream, considering we're on Calico now and we're halfway through the stream. So maybe we'll just get through the top row. In that case, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half streams of this. About the same as Rivals, I guess.
I think you'll find I'm perfectly agreeable as long as you do what I say.
I did not mean to select Calico, but like, that's fine. Now we can look at her better. Actually, let me swap to Apollo.
The patrons are lucky to have
Because he's
someone
so short.
fight for them.
Oh, Calico's also short, I guess. Well, I guess we're gonna do the same thing we did when looking at Apollo. We're gonna switch to Rem because he's tiny. But let's read Calico's lore first. How much her weapon, which is her arm, is called the Sweetest Lie. She has 740 damage. On the lower side. Or health, not damage. I read that wrong. Once a decorated member of the Baxter Society, Calico left the August Order once she realized that killing monsters for free was less profitable than killing people for money. Now, an in-demand contract killer, Calico's living her best life, ending someone else's. So she's just an assassin. Okay, that's all I can gather from that. She's an assassin. Let's check the Deadlock website for more info. I could have looked here for more info on Bebop, actually. Maybe that could have helped inform me. Bebop's motivation and wish in the ritual is to cure Miss Shelley of her illness. She does know that Bebop is them to summon the patrons. Bebop describes his creation as an act of craftsmanship, willpower, and sacrifice. Bebop seems to have a soul. Bebop's main source of income is Miss Shelley's medicine. It's by fighting in the bear pit. Once Miss Shelley is cured of her illness, he has to retire. The bear pit. I assume that's some underground fighting ring, right? Underground arena of blood sport in New York where spectators can bet on prize fights. I see. So he isn't a killer, he's just a cage fighter. I guess that does kind of inform his design. That is kind of the vibes I am getting from him. Created with acts of his own free will, Bebop doesn't particularly value human life. He knows Miss Shelley wouldn't approve of him killing people. Bebop also refers to Miss Shelley as his mother. Oh, that's adorable. Bebop can speak French, but can't speak Japanese. That is surprising. Bebop calls humans organics. Bebop knows how to bake biscuits. That's adorable. Do you have any interaction with Calico that I can just, reference here? Paradox, McGinnis, Viper, Lady Guys, Biscuits, McGinnis, Drifter, Victor, Lash. Nope, I have to just... Calico. I pet the rock. And I hydrate. I just finished my coffee. Womp womp. Even here in her portrait on the wiki, which supposedly would be a high graphic version of her, she still has no texture in her hair. So I assume she is very unfinished, and they're gonna give her a visual upgrade later down the line. So I'm not gonna talk too much about her. I'm gonna try to not talk too much about her, so I can get back to her later. Calico has been an assassin for at least 5 years, and she was hired to kill Pocket 5 years before the events of the ritual. Pocket survived the assassination attempt due to Calico's bullet missing their heart. Implied that this failed assassination earned Calico's reputation for sloppy work amongst other assassins. Calico is nicknamed the most dangerous woman on the planet. She's currently being hunted by international police, Scotland Yard, and the... So you could say she's the Baphomet of Scotland Yard. The Flying Squad's despair. Because when they reach the scene of crime, Calico's not there. That's a Cats reference for you guys that don't understand. International Police, Scotland Yard, and the OSIC. Was assassinated someone named Siegfried under Mirage's nose. Calico's motivation in the ritual is vague, but she seems to want to be the apex predator by witching for power and protection. Ava is Calico's cat familiar. Calico adores Ava and refers to herself as Mummy when talking to Ava. Calico has knowledge about the Deep, the Troubadour, the Oathkeeper. She's implied to know something about Victor's origins. Calico learned Return to Shadows while she was in the Baxter Society. Calico has a son. Okay. Very interesting stuff. Three hours later. I mean, I don't have much to say about Calico in particular. Once we get to, like, Doorman, I'm gonna be sitting here for fucking 12 hours. Yeah, she's definitely due for a visual makeover because none of what that lore told me I can infer from her character design. She just kind of looks like a magician of some kind. She kind of just looks like dude, she's wearing a zoot suit. That's, dude, can you get the fuck out? I should stop playing Rem for this. Get the fuck out! Dude! Leave me the fuck alone! Leave me! Anyway. She's wearing a fucking zoot suit, dude, with the baggy, like, dress pants and the wide shoulders. It's just longer in the back. She looks more like a high class, like, person. Well, I guess a zoot suit wouldn't be that high class. She looks like she belongs more in, like, in a 1920s, like, jazz club or something. Is that racist to say about a black woman? Now that I think about it. I'm talking about the outfit. It does not scream assassin, which I guess it's fine. I like the mechanical arm. It looks very organic. Kind of cool. Almost like a marionette of some kind. She has a skull on her neck. I guess that is to hint that she's an assassin. And I love like the pattern on her suit. That looks real nice. And I love how she has like these metal parts on her glasses that make her look angry. But there isn't really much I can say about her design. I like the purple. It's giving very much like mystic. Because her lore gave me the idea that she's very like a mystic type character. She has a lot of knowledge. She has a lot of she knows a lot of secrets. And a lot of people are on her tail, but she keeps evading them somehow. Very much giving Mystic, which works with her like whole psychic cat motif, which is really cool. Honestly, I like the concept of her so much that I really don't want to talk about her now. I want to wait till they give her a visual overhaul like they did for other characters so that I can then come back and talk about her when she's a lot more what she's supposed to be. You know? Because there isn't really anything I can go off of here. Other than, you know, purple because Mystic, gold because Mystic. A suit because, you know, she's a high class, like, serious quote-unquote businesswoman, even though this suit is not a business suit or high class. The only thing indicating that she's an assassin is, you know, her arm being a weapon and the skull on her neck. Other than that, there isn't really anything. So I don't really have anything to talk about, unfortunately. Like, this belt that she has, it's giving, like, magician. Which would kind of fit with her old mystic motif, but it also just feels so vague. It's not giving assassin. Like, you could so well, like, meld together the aesthetics of an assassin type character and a magician, and it would look so cool, but they haven't done that. Not yet. And that's what's a little disappointing, you know? So I don't really have much to say about her, unfortunately. I wish I could say more, because I like the idea of her so much. But it's just not here. I can't even say anything about her hair, because she barely has any. That is... Oh, that is not good. That is not good modeling or texturing. So we'll just skip to the next character, I guess, which is Celeste.
If you need my help, I'll be there.
But before that, we have to read her lore. What is Celeste's lore? Her weapon is called Carney Life. So she's a Carney. 790 health. Performer, disruptive, dazzling. Even in a world of magic, some things are still rare and unusual. What is a unicorn to do? Announce her presence to the world and potentially have poachers looking to saw off her horn, or hide in plain sight at a Coney Island sideshow where most folk wouldn't assume her appearance was just part of the act. Over the years, the dazzling Celeste has grown into one of the more popular attractions of Coney, and while the applause from cheering audiences is appreciated, what keeps her waking up in the morning is a found family she's made at work. Karuba the mermaid, Blockhead Lenny, Chicken Wing, Ted. Just Ted. We don't talk about Ted. These were her people, so when she discovered that one of her own sold part of their soul in order to cover a gambling debt, Celeste knew it was time to step out of the shadows and do whatever it takes to get it back. Is revealing her power to the patrons a risk? Yes, but that's tomorrow's problem. Her family needs her help today. That is, aw, that's adorable. I love that. That's interesting. So she is straight up a unicorn just taking human form, wanting to live as a human. And she does that by performing at a fucking carnival. That is so clever. Cause like, yeah, no one would bat an eye at the lady with the horn. Cause it's at a fucking circus. They just think, oh, that's a prosthetic. That is so fun. I love that so much.
I think you'll find the service at the Baroness to be exemplary.
They're so short. Why is everyone so much shorter than Doorman? He has like the best zoom. Rem does not have this good of a zoom. And yet, I end up looking down on them, which I don't want to. It ruins the perspective.
Helping people's what I
Are
do.
you small? No, Rem is the smallest, but he has a tiny ass zoom.
I just hope I'm not too late to save him.
Okay, Paige is fine actually. About the same height as... Oh my god, are they gonna kiss right now? I wanna look at her tattoos. I really wanna look at her tattoos. It's hard to get a good look at them though. A lot of them just seem circus themed. Like, that's a dog with a birthday hat. That's not very circus themed. That's a unicorn jumping through a hoop. That looks like a knife. Those are cherries. That's an angel with a bow and arrow, like a cherub kind of angel. Another unicorn. A sun thing. Some ribbons. A bird. A lyre, it looks like. Yep. That reminds me of Lyra from My Little Pony. Circus tent. A bunch of ribbons and stuff. An ice cream. A beach ball. Just some random tattoos to make her look very like lively and youthful. While still showing a little bit. The way the tattoos look, it looks very much like old medieval calligraphy, right? You know, old medieval like manuscripts that has these old ancient sketches of like mystical creatures. That's kind of what it's giving. So it's kind of a mix between modern and youthful and like old and archaic. A horseshoe with a four-leaf clover, both symbols of luck. Those look like clouds. I'm just trying to get a look at all of her tattoos. That's like a weird old medieval like sun with a weird face. You know what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? But what is really striking to... Oh, what does that say on her neck? Oh, that's just a flower. I thought it had like a name on it or something. And that's the same flower on the other side. What's really striking to me is on her chest. These two tattoos are definitely the one with the most focus. The horseshoe with the four-leaf clover and this star with like a heart locket on it. Obviously, this is supposed to be for like good luck, and this is more like something about her heart, her spirit, right? But to me, what it reminds me of is humanoid MLP. When I first saw her, I thought she looked like Rarity. I'm not gonna lie, she's kind of giving Rarity. Am I wrong? Look at her. Look at her face. Look at her. Look at her. Look at the colors. This is Rarity, but like if she had a love child between Rarity and like Pinkie Pie. But yeah, this symbol on her chest really did remind me of The Last Unicorn, if you've seen that movie. Cause the unicorn in that movie, on her horn, or like around her horn, she has that kind of star pattern. And then even when she like disguises herself as a human, she still has a similar star symbol on her forehead, not with the heart locket on it, but she has that star. And I feel like that's a very intentional thing. It feels intentional to me. I like the detail of her horn. It's very swirly, like a proper like narwhal horn. Did the playlist just give me 2 versions of Endless Possibility in a row? I'm gonna skip it for that reason. I'm sorry. I like that version, but I'm gonna skip it just because it was 2 of them in a row. That was unfortunate. I love how her hair is like flowing because it's kind of like a horsetail, right? But like very like swirly and flowy, almost like very magical, like very wispy. Kind of like that. She also has little stars all over her hair and as her earrings. Very much star patterns like everywhere, it looks like. Okay, these aren't really stars, they're more like diamond shaped, but she has little studs on her jacket that are diamond shaped. She has them on her costume. A lot more stars. She has this necklace with a star on it and these star things at the sides. Which makes sense because like stars are very like magical, associated with magic, often again with like medieval like manuscripts that have a little like sketches of mystical beings and such. They usually have a bunch of stars on them as well. It definitely feels like what they were going for. Yes, sparkles on her cheeks. She's very beautiful. I love her. Oh my god, she's so gorgeous. I love how her hair is shaped like a horsetail and it has the blue and purple. Very like magical colors. Almost galaxy-like, you know, the galaxy unicorn aesthetic. You know what I'm talking about. Also her circus attire. Just a simple like leotard. Segmented though, it's kind of divided between the lower half and the top half. With a little bit of leather belts. And of course the frills at her thighs, which she also has on her gloves. Very nice. Very circusy. She even has a star symbol on the back of her jacket. I love that. That's so cool. Instead of the traditional bright red and blue, they made it a little bit more pink and like a muted blue to fit more with her color scheme. I like that. That's what I'm talking about with like breaking rules to fit the character. Like they didn't do with Abrams. Like realistically, she just have the bright red and blue that is associated with the circus. But because that would clash a lot with a lot of her other like motifs, they made it a little bit more pink and a lighter blue. Just so it doesn't look that, you know, clashing with the rest of her design. And it makes her design look a lot more cohesive. What I don't understand about her design, though, is the leather boots. And the little bit gothic leather boots and jacket. And she does have tassels along them. Along the arms, it seems, which is a little bit more, you know, southern. But what did I just do? Yeah, that confuses me a little bit. What am I supposed to take away from that? That she's a little bit rebellious, I guess? That's kind of what motifs like these kind of symbolize most of the time. Like, you know, it's very goth, very a little bit punk. She's a little bit free-spirited, a little bit rebellious. I do like that it has a little bit of a pinkish brown gradient to it, so that it's not like pure pitch black contrasted with the rest of her colorful design. But it's... I don't know what to take away from it, is the thing. I guess... if you want to think about it for like 2 seconds, she is kind of rebellious for a unicorn, right? Because like a regular unicorn would just want to be a unicorn and live unicorn life and do unicorn things. She explicitly wants to be a human and live as a human, so that's kind of like rebellious in a way. But I feel like that's kind of stretching it to like allow for the whole... that's kind of excusing this weird aspect rather than being an actual... you know... thing, right? I don't know. I like her staff though, because it's both like kind of like an acrobat staff, but then it has like mystical fire on the ends, kind of like a fire dancer. But then on top of all that, it has this swirly pattern on it to match her horn, which is really fun. Really, really cute. Very cool. Or a design. Also, I just noticed that she has like a little cloth wrapped around her neck, giving kind of like classic Americana look. I guess that's kind of also what the leather jacket represents. But like the boots are a little incongruent with that. Are her heels fucking also unicorn horns? I just noticed that. That's cool. That's cool. That's really cool. I like that. But no, I can kind of see, actually, now that I think about it, I can kind of see the jacket being an extension of like the classic like Americana like look. Like she's kind of like a greaser, right? I mean, that's kind of a little bit in the 50s, and this takes place in like the 1930s, 1920s, when Deadlock is supposed to take place, but you know, we also have a punk here, which was very much a 70s thing, so who cares? Because she does kind of have the red, white, and blue going on, although, again, the colors are changed to match her aesthetic a bit more. But it is kind of... It does kind of give off, if you see it as, like, American colors, and, like... See the cloth that's like a proper handkerchief, which it's really isn't. Kind of just a weird cloth thing. You can kind of imagine her as like sort of that 1950s greaser aesthetic, except she would be more like the pretty girls. Like if you've ever seen the movie Grease, where like the guys are all like motorcycles and leather jackets, and then the girls are a little bit more pretty. She's kind of a mix between the two. That might be what they're going for, but it's hard to say. That's kind of just what I'm taking away from the design. It's hard to tell what they're actually going for with these design inspirations. Especially since that would also kind of be a weird thing to just add on top of the circus aesthetic, which is already on thin ice. She really only has the, like, leotard underneath. Don't get me wrong, I really like her design. It's very nice and balanced. The storytelling isn't necessarily... The storytelling isn't really speaking to me, you know? I'm just kind of drawing from my own bank of like visual aspects to like try to figure out what it's telling me, but I can't really find it. But it's a nice looking design. Hold on, if I go back here and we look at Celeste. Does this give me more lore? So that's extensive discussion by skeptics who don't believe unicorns are real. Only your closest friends know her true identity. So let's hate hurting other people, expressing remorse when killing enemies. So let's frequently cause accidents when performing or training her acts. She used to close kids' birthday parties with her light eater ability until she faced multiple lawsuits. She also took Shining Wonder out of her act after causing too many concussions. Paradox Organization have tried to steal Celeste's warrant. It's implied that Lenny is the friend who sold his soul. Blockhead Lenny? Interesting. Yeah, I don't really know what to take away from her design. Mostly with the jacket and the boots. They feel a little bit incongruent. But they do give her design a nice balance, so I will let them slide. I just feel like if they wanted to give her a jacket and boots in like a little bit darker colors as a nice balance, they could have at least made them fit more with the circus aesthetic. I don't know. Hard to say. But yeah, I don't have too much else to say about Celeste for now. Maybe I'll think of something next time around. Can I fit another bot in here?
After the ritual is complete, if you'd like tickets to South Pacific, don't be afraid to ask.
Okay, I have to remove all bots in order to add a new one. Okay, that's fair. Paige is not a healer, apparently. Finally, we get to talk about my boy, my absolute favorite guy, Doorman. Oh, Doorman. I mean, his shoes aren't completely plain. There is some detail to them, so I assume his design is mostly finished. The pants look a little plain, but I feel like that's intentional. I feel like that's intentional for his clothes to not have that many folds and wrinkles on it. I feel like it makes sense with Doorman's lore. Which, by the way, let me pull up real quick. Let me just find it here. So we can also look at some other lore tidbits. He's proper, he's polite, but the humble doorman of the Baroness Hotel is more than meets the eye. While he had only planned to experience life on this plane for a few weeks, the doorman quickly discovered that the New York service industry was a great way to see the strange demands that please humans. The doorman is referred to as a fledgling god by himself, a patron by himself, and a cosmic being. He often refers to the other heroes as mortals. The doorman's motivation in the ritual is to see the patrons, since he hasn't seen them in a long time. He doesn't seem to have a wish planned, as he intends to return to the Baroness after the ritual, although the patrons goad him to wish back his old power. The doorman is not Doorman's real name, but the one he uses to keep himself grounded, to remind himself that he's here to serve, not to rule. There are lines which imply that a long time ago, Doorman used to slaughter humans, expressing glee at the chance to kill again and be feared during the ritual. The true nature of the doorman is unknown to most of the cast. Doorman likes working at the Baroness since he gets to observe humanity. The OSIC seem to be aware of the doorman's true nature, as they consider doorman participating in the ritual as overstepping. The doorman claims to be able to see the future. So that's the thing about the doorman. He looks like an unassuming, like, service worker. But that's merely a disguise, because he's like this eldritch, like, god. But you know, with the 1930s, 40s, whatever aesthetic. Is it like 1920s to 1940s? Somewhere along those lines. You know, that was like the prime time of like H.P. Lovecraft. So like, plus with the patrons, like eldritch magic and gods is a very big theme in Deadlock. So having one of the characters be one of these ancient eldritch beings makes a lot of sense. And you can see it just with the way he stands. He stands so upright, so proper. Shoulders completely squared, head held high. Especially in his movements, like you see in his walk animation. He always has his... Like, all the movement is in his legs. He does not move like his upper body at all. It's almost uncanny, right? And when he runs, it's like... His arms are bent at a perfect 90-degree angle. It's like he moves like so perfectly. You can especially see it in his eyes, you know, his bright blue eyes that are completely incongruent with the rest of his design, that there's something mystical behind him. But from a distance, he's completely unassuming. You'd walk into the Baroness Hotel to stay there for a weekend. You'd walk past him and you wouldn't bat an eye. Which is exactly what he wants. It is so good. It is so good. But yeah, let's take a better look at like his actual design. Like, he's supposed to be very much like your average just doorman. He's got a regular like doorman like hotel uniform with the black shoes, sleek black pants, and this jacket, this very ornate jacket with a little hat on top. With the same intricate details on the sleeves that a lot of them have, like a badge on the arm where like I assume usually there'd be like a name of like the hotel, but they didn't texture that. I don't think they ever will. I think that's just a fun. They don't have to. But what is very interesting is all the keyhole designs. You can see on his chest there's a keyhole. Even the buttons here are keyhole shaped. On his back he obviously has his shining keys, which, you know, is another bit of like visual intrigue when you're actually like playing as him.
The Hidden King's strength will be yours.
But yeah, I like the stripes along the pants. Another just hotel uniform thing, but I think it looks real nice. Even his hat, by the way, if you look, it kind of looks like, you know, wrong thing. It kind of looks like a bell, like a hotel bell with its rounded shape and like little button on top. Coincidence? I'm not so sure. I don't know what much to say about his color scheme, because it's kind of just like, you know, your traditional hotel uniform, which are often this black and red with the gold accents. I'm sure if you Google like hotel doorman, you know, other than actually getting the doorman from Deadlock, but if you Google, if you put before : 2022, or whenever Deadlock first came out, 2024, I believe. Before 2024, you'll probably find people that look with uniforms exactly like this, with these exact colors. But on top of that, it does, you know, as I mentioned earlier when talking about Apollo, the colors of red, white, and gold are often like associated with royalty and like divinity. Like Jesus himself wore red, but like on Doorman here, it's kind of like a muted red, which again, I have to emphasize, it's to match like how hotel doorman uniforms usually are. They do have this muted red color, but it does kind of give you the impression of like there is some divinity to him, but it's kind of faded. It's become muted. Right? because he's not actively being a god at the moment. Very interesting if you think about it. Also, his gun, the way that it's like half gun and also a half like keyring as well. And I didn't actually notice this myself because I'm not smart, but I watched a video of someone going over like the art of like Deadlock and how cool the art is, and he went over some of the character designs, one of them in particular being Doorman, and he mentioned that these details on Doorman's gun are like the mechanisms that you would find inside of like a lock, which I didn't even notice, which is a really cool detail. Because he's like the key man. He has the keys and he has the locks. It's very cool. He's a very, 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 very simple but very effective design for what he is. Also, I do like that with the portals.
To be your guide. This way, please.
One of them, their colors are like yellow and blue, which is kind of like, you know, Valve's other game, Portal. You might have heard of it. It's a very popular game made by the same guys. You can also see it in its reload animation. I can just press reload. One of the doors is yellow and the other is blue. Even though in Bellhop, not Doorman. But his name is Doorman. He is the Doorman. I guess Bellhop is also a name for it. I guess more often it's called Bellhop, but like, he's the Doorman. He does the doors. He mans the doors. Which is fun. This pattern continues towards this undershirt. I don't think that's supposed to be... I don't think that's how it's supposed to be. Like, isn't that where his shirt begins? Wouldn't the shirt be, like, white? Like, you can see that it is? That's probably just a visual thing that they didn't think about. If it were me, I would have just, you know... not have the shirt come down. Like, there's enough like suspension of disbelief to believe that his pants go all the way up there. He's not human anyway, so why does it matter? I love the curl on his hair. It doesn't tell me much about his character, but like I just love the way his hair, he has this little front curl. It's, again, kind of like a Superman thing. He sees himself as, you know, this, like, godlike figure. Well, he is a godlike figure, so it kind of makes sense to have a little bit of a Superman thing. But he isn't really a hero. He's kind of just a guy. He's just kind of LARPing as a human being. His silhouette is very, very, very good, though. I like it. He has a very good silhouette. With the broad shoulders and the tiny legs and, you know, just standing completely straight. Makes for a very nice silhouette. If there's one thing I would have liked about his design, it's that some of these, like... details on his uniform were a little bit more key or lock themed, because these are just kind of like hotel uniform, generic hotel uniform details with the overlapping things here. I don't know what they're called. I don't know what the pattern particular is particularly is called, but on his lapels. These aren't lapels, these are lapels. Wait, I'm getting my fashion confused. I went to school for this, I should know. But you know what I mean. I wish that there was more of like a keyhole slash key motif in these intricate details instead of just being the generic details. Especially on his hat, like the one in the middle there. Like, they gave him a very clear keyhole here, but not there. That's a little bit... disappointing. But yeah, overall, I do really love Doorman's design. I don't have much else to say about him. So let's bring in...
By the time I'm through with them, the cops won't be able to identify the body.
this guy, Drifter. Another design that seems to be very much finished. Oh, that's interesting. Let's read up on his lore first, though. Drifter listed down here. Nope. Drifter. Oh, these little blurbs are also lore. Something ancient has arrived in New York, a nameless horror known only as the Drifter, relentless as time, as certain as death. Once Drifter sets his eyes on a victim, there's nothing they can do to stop him. They can try to run, but his blood scent drives him forward, leading him to isolate prey. Even if they manage to escape, it doesn't matter. A stalker's mark allows Drifter to appear right behind his enemies before lunging in for the kill with a vicious rend. Soon eternal night comes, and a faint whistling in the breeze will be joined by a chorus of screams. An ancient vampire roaming across America, the nameless monstrosity known as the Drifter has been preying on the living for generations. Unlike most vampires, Drifter doesn't value finery or titles and has naked contempt for vampirical laws and traditions. This refusal to toe the line, I don't know why I read it as limit, probably because title was right over it and I kind of mix them in my mind. This refusal to toe the line has made him a marked man all over the North American baronies, but while viscounts and elders cry for its execution, Drifter continues to do what he pleases. Like other heroes, Drifter isn't participating in the ritual for a wish, but instead for the carnage. He views his wish as a bonus. Drifter has lived for centuries. His age is unknown, but he refers to New York as New Amsterdam, which implies he has been around at least since 1665. It also implies that he knew Doc Holliday from the 19th century. Drifter is not the troubadour. He has never met him before and only knows him by reputation. Drifter speaks in a Cajun accent from Louisiana, indicating that he may be associated with the 17th century Acadian French immigrant. Drifter has been hunted by the Baxter Society and the Swords of Saint Benedict and Silver. The OSIC aren't after Drifter. Drifter seems to be scared of fire and expresses relief that he doesn't have to fight Infernus. Drifter likes to steal his victims' coats. Interesting. So he has an affinity from coats. I could tell. That's a very nice coat for someone who looks very much disheveled. Very... Is that red part of your coat? I can't tell if that's your coat or your undershirt. It looks to be an undershirt, actually. Interesting. Interesting. Well, just instantly, he looks very... British? I want to say, you know what I'm talking about. It's the hat, it's the jacket, it's the face, it's the facial hair. He feels like he's kind of meant to be this Jack the Ripper type character almost. Where he prowls the night only looking for murder, right? Like the fictionalized version of like Jack the Ripper, and not like in the realistic sense of he's a serial killer, but more like the fantastical idea of that's what. How does your outfit work? Wait. How does your outfit... Wait. That red is clearly a separate thing from the jacket. But it's not visible through this obvious tear in your jacket. That looks like your flesh. Unless it's your t-shirt. It could be your t-shirt. Which means that this red is a vest, but then what is the red that is coming up here? Is that part of the...
Pet the damn rock.
Fine, that's the shut up button. I like the way his beard is shaped. It almost feels like his hair is like furry rather than it just being facial hair. It's a way to make him look a little bit more animalistic and dangerous. Also, the way they have his head like pointed down so that you don't always see his eyes, but then when you do, they're like glowing red, and it's like, oh, that's scary. That's really cool. That's actually kind of cool. It makes him look very mysterious. And use it if you know what I mean and all its variant, because we don't. Speak for yourself. Maybe you don't. I assume if you watch my channel, then you know something or other about character design. I have a lot of artists in my community. They probably know exactly what I'm talking about when I say he looks British. Cause tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I can't explain it. I can't explain what it is. But you know exactly. You know. You know. He clearly doesn't care about his clothes. He's very torn. He doesn't even have proper pants. His pants are very old. They're just kind of like a medieval village pants with a rope belt, which implies that he's very old. I mean, that's what the wiki said, that he's implied to be very old, but like that old? before the, like, creation of properly tailored pants. His boots are also torn. The laces are not lacing. Clearly someone who does not take care of themselves, because he really doesn't need to. Very, very much, he does give off the vibes of this, of a, like, spectral figure. Like, he isn't someone that should exist. I love his color scheme of all these dark gray browns with a bunch of red. The red of his undershirt, which is popping out both down here and on it over his jacket here. The bright red, like the very like striking bright red of his arms that he uses to murder with. He's just covered in blood. Though I feel like they should have made this red like this more muted color that it is here, to really make the bright red of his hands really stick out. And they should have removed this glove, because it just kind of makes the hands less noticeable. But yeah, I like that. Also, I noticed this. He's got little fangs on his jacket. His jacket has little fangs in the back because he's a vampire. That's cute. That is cute. Strangely enough, meanwhile, the rest of his clothes scream like this is just stuff that happened to them. Like the way his boots are like untied, it feels very unintentional. It's just kind of like he wore out the laces, and so they only go up to here where his like his like ankle joint is. Like they were literally torn because of how much he runs around in them. But with the belt here, it feels like he's just intentionally like fastened it in the back so it wouldn't get in the way. I feel like it would be much more appropriate if the belt just wasn't there, or if it was just like hanging behind him. Like it was torn. Like one of these hoops was like torn, and so it was just kind of hanging here at the side. I feel like that would be a lot more appropriate. For someone to look like he doesn't really care about his appearance. He doesn't really care about his own well-being. He just wants to murder. And he doesn't care of what all that savagery does to his clothes. But like, yeah, the red of his undershirt is sticking out under here, and it's the same color as the red here, which implies that this shirt is the one that's like rolled up here. But then under here you just see his like t-shirt, unless it's like it's likely that like the jacket has a lining, right? It has an inner layer that hasn't been torn, which it doesn't make sense because the inner layer would be a lot more, fucking, what's it called? Would be made of a weaker material, which, if it was exposed here, then you would see it. You know what I mean? If it's exposed here, then, you know, it would be torn as well, eventually. But considering that's so close to the color of his t-shirt, I wonder if they just didn't think too far about it. But that still helps give him the look of like a dangerous man. He's been through a lot, but clearly like he enjoys it. I like how even he has a white shirt, but not only is it stained with blood, but it's also just, you know, just so worn out that it's lost its color, and that makes it like almost a gray, which makes his pale skin just stick out even more from afar. It's really cool. It's a really cool design, honestly. I can't lie. Can't lie, it's a pretty cool design. For what it's trying to convey, it's a really cool design. And also his silhouette is great. Like, he has these very wide shoulders, but like he's sort of hunched. So it makes like his entire upper body just look like one big pump. Kind of like Venom in Marvel Rivals, how he's so hunched, and so it kind of just makes him look like a hunchback a little bit. And on top of that, his wide stance to show that he's ready to pounce at any moment. And from the side, again with that hunched posture. He's more animal than he is a person, almost. Which again, very nicely illustrated with the way they did his beard, almost looking like fur. I dig that. That's still a really cool detail. And a big old grin on his face, because he's enjoying it all. All the carnage, all the destruction. This is a good character design. I like him. I like him a lot. He's cool. Not gonna lie, he's really cool. Good, effective character design. He does indeed give off the... If you hear the name The Drifter, this is something that you would think of. He looks like what I would consider a drifter. It's hard to explain the exact, what exactly I mean by that. But like, when I think a drifter, you know, someone who like, who doesn't, you know, stay in one place, who doesn't stay in one place too often, and just, drifts from place to place. So to speak. You'd imagine someone with like a plain plain shirt, plain pants, but then with like some somewhat outdoorsy boots, an outdoorsy jacket, and a hat to protect him from the elements. At least what I imagine when I think of a drifter. And that's exactly the vibe they're giving, but making him look a lot more savage. Again, sort of a Jack the Ripper archetype of this mysterious, supernatural killer. Very cool, very effective character design. I knew I'd have more fun with Deadlock, considering I don't have to consider any of these characters' history to fully understand them. I just have to look at the character design and yep, that is the character. That is definitely the character. When you don't have to consider how the characters are supposed to look after, based on like other media, and you can just look at like how they're presented here and just essentially vibe check them based on the design, it's a lot more fun because like, yeah, Doorman just does look like this weird, like outerworldly being just pretending to be human. Drifter does look like a monstrous guy that travels far and just causes carnage wherever he goes. It's very cool. It's very cool. I like it a lot. We do still have 15 minutes left of stream. And I'm done with the entire top row. I guess I could talk about Dynamo last, but then that would feel very uneven. It's kind of nice to get one row done, you know? I don't want to just keep going and going and going.
Let me collect my extremities and I'll be right there.
I do want to take a look at him though. Not gonna go too in depth, I just want to take a good look at him because I like his design. Oh, the textures are a little weird. But like he clearly has more detailed. What the fuck? That's definitely a texturing issue. Yeah, he's clipping through his jacket. That is definitely like an issue with my game. That's an issue with me in particular. That's not supposed to be that's something very wrong. Is that ray tracing? Oh my god. His dome is so reflective. That is fun. But yeah, I'm not gonna talk too much about Dynamo. I just wanted to take a little look at him. Because I like his design. He's really cool. He's probably a great place to start off next stream. But for now, can we play a quick game? No, because the games in Deadlock, they last so long. I cannot possibly play a game. Actually, before I go to the bathroom, let me do these. Let me do the redeems that are asked of me for God knows what reason. But yeah, I'll be right back. I just need to go to the bathroom. Wah. Wah wah wee wah. Hi, hello, good morning. Anyway, my goodness. Wait. You totally saw that, didn't you? Anyway, yeah, I feel like getting one row done is a good place to end the stream, and we'll continue next time from or end the yap session, and then we continue next stream with we continue next time with the second row, and then we go on until we've done all the heroes. Who knows? Maybe in that time, some of the heroes we talked about today will get their will get updated. This stream, it was really only Calico. Calico was the only one that really stuck out to me as like very unfinished. Didn't have much to say about Calico, but the others were pretty good. But anyway, let me close the game. And then we can just sit here and yap for a second. Let me turn up the music back up a little bit because I turned it down earlier, so that it wouldn't be so distracting for me while I was yapping. But let me actually fire up my other model now that I don't have a game running. I can fire up this model. Am I double now? Wait, am I double now? I am totally double now. That's fine. I'm gonna close this one. Boom. But yeah, since we still have a few minutes left before we really need to end the stream, I guess I could just yap a little bit, just casually. I mean, it is a just chatting stream after all. I do wonder, should I label these streams as just chatting? Do they technically count as art? Or should I label them with like the games I'm talking about? I really should have thought about that when I was like talking about the Marvel Rivals character designs, but you know. Also, hello, little funny. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the channel. Because like when I was talking about yapping about the Marvel Rivals characters, every stream was labeled as just chatting, and I didn't really think that much about it. But now that I am thinking about it, should I label them as something else? I don't know what would be more appropriate. Should I label them with the games I'm talking about? Should I call them art streams? Because I'm technically talking about character design, which is like an artistic thing. I don't know. I really don't know here. Because, like, when people click on an art stream, they expect to see art being done. Whether that's, like, painting or sculpting or just drawing. People are expecting to see you doing the art. And if you label it with a game, people come in expecting you to play the game. People go to the Deadlock category to watch people play Deadlock. So I feel like if I had labeled this stream Deadlock, people would have come in and expecting me to play the game. they don't casual Twitch viewers wouldn't want to come into a Deadlock stream to watch me talk about the character designs. They want to see me play the game. So I feel like just chatting might be the best option in that sense, but I'm not quite sure what I should do going forward. Oh my god. Time for a second cup of coffee and not too long. Take yourself for a second cup of coffee and not too long, but I'll wait till after I've ended the stream. Well, I'm a little bit yawny right now. Too sleep deprived to be here, not gonna lie. Aren't we all sometimes a little sleep deprived? But yeah, we just hit the 3-hour mark, so I think it's about time we just end the stream and look for someone to raid. So it doesn't look like that many people are on right now. Unfortunate. I mean, there are a lot of people streaming right now, but it's my regulars that I've rated like 3 billion times lately. My schedule's beyond savings. Like for me, it's quite often for me to be sleep deprived. That used to be me, but then I decided to really try to lock in and get a proper sleep schedule, but it's very hard to stick to it, especially during weekends. And I still have really bad insomnia, which you'd think fixing your sleep schedule would help your insomnia, but it really hasn't, which is oh so frustrating for me. I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep properly, but it's just not working. It's just not happening. I'm yawning a lot right now. I don't know why. Sleep, you say? What's that? How about we raid someone who's playing some Deadlock? So many people are playing with mods. Oh my god, is that Kung Fu Panda? Oh my god, that's funny. That's really funny. Oh, this is a very cute person. Yeah, I found a very cute person to raid who's currently playing some Deadlock. Oh shit, I forgot to open Mix It Up. We need a raid message. We need a raid message going on. My goodness, why am I yawning so much? What happened? Look at the camera. Stupid rock not facing the camera. Anyway, we'll move over here now. That says Tay, do not raid. But yeah, go ahead and copy the raid message. One for people who are subbed and one for people who are not subbed. But if you're not subbed, feel free to replace the universal pop emote with whatever other emotes you would like to use. Preferably a popping emote, because that's what our raid message is. Oh no, ads are about to start. No! Start a raid before the ads have a chance to start. But yeah, thank you all so much for being here and hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you enjoyed me yapping about character design again. Now with Deadlock, which is a lot more interesting than doing it with Marvel Rivals. So I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll probably be playing some Deadlock, like actually playing. Let's hope I'm actually good at the game. Because I've looked at some videos on how to get better, and I might be, but I also might not be. We'll see. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. But yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. As always, remember to eat food, drink water, take care of yourself, take your meds if you have them, if you need them, and I hope to see you all back again next time. Hope you're excited for some Deadlock. We'll continue the character design streams probably next week. We'll see. But yeah, make sure to copy the raid message and say hello to this new person, Bunny Wabbit Rin, during the raid. Be nice, it's a new person, so be nice. But yeah, bye-bye everyone. Bye-bye. Have a good time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye everyone.